Jubi, Nasser. You have like calm energy, and I feel calm, but usually I'm more like.
Really?
Yeah, you've given like today anyway. I don't know what you are normally outside of here.
No, I am, to be fair.
You're giving me calm energy. So
that's good.
We'll start the intro calm. So hey, it's me, Nasser. Welcome back to another episode. I'm here with Jubi. Welcome. Essentially, today is going to be talking about hypnobirthing, everything around maternity, pregnancies, generational black trauma, people's experiences within just midwifery and pregnancy stuffs. I probably just said a bunch of words that I don't even understand. So Jubi's here to make me understand a lot more. So yeah, I just think it's I came across your page and I thought it was like I didn't follow you because it's one, I hate the topic of pregnancy because I'm not there yet. So it's like I don't know if I followed you and then unfollowed because I was just like I can't keep seeing.
So that's where the unfollow.
Pregnant. I was like I can't keep seeing pregnancy stuff all the time because it's just gonna make me think about pregnancy.
Really?
Yeah, I'm not there yet at all.
Do you want kids?
Sorry?
Do you want kids?
I do, but like I feel like it's that thing where you're just like you're scared of pregnancy like all of your life, and then it's like okay, now I'm old enough to have pregnancy. Like I'm 25.
Same, and when people my age get pregnant, I'm still like, oh my god, teenage pregnancy.
Oh, that's literally what I was gonna say. Like I'm not ready. Like I can't even have my dog here because I just don't have time for her. Like so, the child cannot be in my hands. Like
yeah.
I only started making money. Like I can't be giving it to somebody else. Like, but Jubi, tell us what you do. Introduce yourself and then talk to us about your business or page or venture.
My new venture. It's not new, but it kind of is at the same time. So I'm Jubi. I'm a midwife. I work in the Rotunda. It's actually Europe's biggest and not biggest but busiest maternity and oldest maternity hospital.
Oh.
So yeah, it's got a history to it, a long history. I'm a midwife there. I work on the labour ward and it's really, really busy. It's like we get nearly 10,000 deliveries a year, which is quite a lot.
I wouldn't say a week. I said, bro.
No. No, we don't have the facilities for that, big man. But we've got 11 delivery rooms at the moment, and 11 is probably the most delivery rooms you get in Ireland.
How many people are in it? Is it just one person per delivery room?
Yeah, one person per delivery room, and we have like so in another unit I worked in a smaller country unit, they had like 4 labour rooms, and sometimes it would be empty for hours and hours at a time.
Yeah.
In the Rotunda, that's unheard of.
Yeah.
Unheard of.
You posted the other day that there was like none or something.
That's
in the morning.
Phenomenon. Like loads of my work friends were messaging me and going like, "Oh my god, what the hell?" But safe to say, by the end of the day, it was full. Like, completely chockers. But that's what I'm doing at the moment, and I think because I work in like a really busy maternity hospital, when I started, I was really conditioned to think that like women come in and they're out, and like it has to be really, really quick, and sometimes there's no time for woman-centered like care and that holistic care that in college you're taught, oh, the woman's body will do what it needs to do, natural, blah blah blah. Yeah. When you're actually working in such a busy ward, sometimes it's
like mass producing babies.
Yeah,
like
sometimes it feels like a factory,
a
baby factory. But and I think that's why I ventured into hypnobirthing. That and also because like when I started on the labour ward, seeing women like give birth actually scared me. I'm not even gonna lie.
What made you want to be a midwife? Like, did you not know?
No, I think nobody does. Like even pregnant women I talk to now, they don't really understand what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I think if they do, it's only the horror stories that they hear of that's like in the back of their heads.
Yeah.
So I suppose that's where my role comes in, and I think becoming a hypnobirthing instructor has helped me to better support women in labour. But now I find as I'm progressing in my career, I'm getting this real passion, this calling to like improving Black women's birthing experiences, because I'm going to be part of the system one day, and I think if I'm going to be part of that system, I'd love for it to be, a place where I can feel safe as well. So
we'll get to hypnobirthing in a sec, but how did you get into midwifery? Is it something that you always want to do, or was it you just were doing nursing and then went back?
No, I never went into nursing. I just it's funny because I tell all my clients never to watch One Born Every Minute, but One Born Every Minute, I was watching it one day when I was like in 5th or 6th year, and I was like, wow, this is so cool. Like, these women are bringing life into the world.
Yeah.
They're the first person a baby gets to see or feel, and like, you're there at such a special moment in a couple's life, and I just thought it was amazing, and I just felt a calling to it. So
that's good. Where did you do your degree?
I did my degree in Galway.
Okay, I was gonna say is it not only just Galway and Limerick? Those two are
everywhere does it now.
Is it?
Yeah, you've got Galway, Cork, Dublin, Limerick does it as well.
Because I know when we were doing CAO, I know a couple of people
who applied for midwifery.
But it was only people in like Limerick and Galway were the only two. I thought like they were like the only places that people.
There's always been more than that. Always been more. Like, some people go through the nursing route and then midwifery, because then you can do it for 18 months after if you get your nursing qualification. But I just knew it was midwifery. I wanted,
and you just went straight into it.
Yeah,
that's cool. And how long have you like been graduated since?
So I've got almost 4 years experience as a midwife.
Oh, cool.
Which seems a bit mad to me, because like when I meet my patients and they look at me and they're like,
yeah,
you're a midwife?
Yeah.
Are you my midwife? They always think I'm like the student.
Yeah.
So it's, sometimes I doubt myself. I'm like, how do I...
It's a bit of like imposter syndrome.
Yeah, definitely imposter syndrome. Sometimes I'm like, wait, actually, do I actually know
what you're doing?
What I know?
Because there's like a it's almost like that Mary Poppins type like figure that you think of when I think of midwifery, like an old white woman like that is just like jolly, can talk to anybody, can do whatever, like so you definitely don't look like that, but I don't think that you should doubt yourself.
Saying that, like, I think it's nice because there's not many black midwives out there.
I was gonna get to that next. Like, is it something that you feel like, does that add to your imposter syndrome?
No, I don't think so. Sometimes it does, but honestly, I don't really think about it that much. When I'm in the thick of it, it's my knowledge and like my experience that's gonna get me through. It's not the color of my skin, so I don't really think about it that much. But when I'm on the outside looking in, like when I'm not in work, like when we're having conversations like this, it's like, wow, there actually isn't that many black midwives out there. Like at the moment, there's a few now starting in the Rotunda, that are around my age. And it's unreal to see. I love it so much, because imagine being a black woman going into a space, you're so vulnerable, and especially with COVID, when like visiting restrictions were so like strict. It's nice to see another face that looks like yours. I
think that's like just being black everywhere, to be fair. But I think in a maternity ward it's even more important, because it's such a vulnerable place, like you've said. And I think that's probably one of the reasons why I haven't thought about pregnancy. Like, I've thought about pregnancy, I've never thought of birthing, if that makes sense. So I've thought of pregnancy, oh my god, I'm pregnant, my life is over. It's just 9 months. Because it's like, for me, if I was to get pregnant, I can't play football. I couldn't play football. So that was always my thing. I was just like, I'm not ready to settle down just yet. Like, but even with that, and just being in help myself, like, there are always topics about like cultural competency in a hospital setting in general. And then on top of that, added to like the high maternal death rates like within black women, which is most of the time are avoidable situations. Like, even, I don't know if you remember Serena Williams a couple of years ago. It's like that situation. Like, I was doing my master's at that time, and I did a project on that, and it was like,
just remind me of that again.
So Serena Williams had her baby, so she was pregnant, had her baby, but there was something wrong with her. Like, she was feeling pain, but she kept like telling them like, I feel pain, and they kept dismissing her. And it was only till she literally just used the fact that she's Serena Williams and was really assertive. Obviously has like, I'm not going to say her white husband comes into play, but she has influence in general, that they were able to find that, like, I don't know if it was the umbilical cord or something was caught up around somewhere abdominally that shouldn't be. And that just brought the conversation of the fact that, like, in medicine, like, black people and black women in general are ignored a lot of the times, because we're seen to be stronger, we're seen to not have as much pain. So when we are given out about pain, it's not taken as seriously, because our threshold is not seen the same as white people. Do you know what I mean? So when that happened, and like just literally just reading the numbers, and the statistics are annoyingly similar everywhere. Like, between black women versus any other race, like the death rate is like crazy. So for me, that doesn't make me want to have a child. Do you know what I mean? And then unfortunately, when you talk about having a child in Africa, you wouldn't have the same issues, but the mortality death rates are like high because of lack of like health infrastructure. Do you know what I mean? So personally, like pregnancy and birthing is not something that seems fun or seems like an enjoyable experience. It definitely seems very vulnerable. So I think like what you're saying about having a black nurse, like I know for a fact that definitely would make me just feel a lot more comfortable. Do you know what I mean? Just knowing that this person might understand me a little bit more. Do you know? Have you had any experiences with like black women or like non-European women? Like have you had that connection?
All the time. Yeah, all the time. I absolutely. It's so weird because when I get like a black patient, I'm like, yes. Have a chance to really connect with them, because as you know, there's something about being with people who understand you that makes you feel at ease like straight away, you know. Like for example, I had a lady one time who is Nigerian as well, and she was living in a you know those refugee homes, direct provision hostels. She was living in direct provision, and like I felt bad for her because, you know, you're just coming to this new country. She was only maybe a year, not very long in Ireland, and was, you know, in this whole new environment. And I don't know, I feel like if I was in her shoes, I would like to have someone who understood the whole process, you know, because I've had the experience of having to move to a new country. I moved to Ireland when I was 7, and that was a scary experience for me. And like seeing other black people here really made me feel at ease and like comfortable. And in saying that, it's not like you have to have a black midwife when you're in labour, but having someone that understands is great. But a lot of the midwives we have probably don't, unless they're years experience and have met a lot of people like her. They won't understand. And I think that's where like training about, you know, cultural competency comes into place, because we don't have that. We don't facilitate training like that in our hospital. I've never heard of anything like anti-racism talks or anything about, like, Dublin is such a cultural melting pot, and we need so many women, and we don't know anything about them or their culture. Like for example, the Romanian gypsy population is quite big in Dublin, and it's part of their culture to have large families. So we see a lot of Romanian gypsy women who have very poor English and will only speak Romanian, or sometimes they speak Spanish as well, and we don't know anything about their culture.
I can imagine that's even tougher, like, because obviously being black, it's tough, but you can speak and hopefully will be heard. But if you can't even convey exactly, and there's already stigmas in our society about those communities. And like I already know, like if I'm just in general, if you're upset, your tone changes, and now I'm speaking a different language, and now on top of that you have your own cultural bias about me. You're not going to see me as a favorable candidate to even want to help.
100%. So that's where like my thing comes in, where I feel like it's one thing that, like, okay, you've got these biases about people, but like you're in a position where this person is trusting you with their bodies, you know, and their babies, and it's such a vulnerable time, and we don't even have any training whatsoever to deal with people of different like cultural backgrounds. Like,
how do you handle that, like yourself personally?
I think because I have that experience of being from somewhere different, I'm a lot more open-minded, and like when it comes to different people's, you know, how different cultures handle labour. I've noticed that like different women labour differently, give birth differently, in the sense that like maybe a Nigerian woman, from what I've seen anyways, they tend to be quite primal in the way they birth. It's very much like there's a lot of fear surrounding birth with the black community, I think. Because we come from a culture where we haven't got the, you know, the
facilities,
the health infrastructure, and the you know, the way Europe is developed, we wouldn't have that in Nigeria. And a lot of the times in Nigeria, and our parents would have told us stories about, you know, I had to go through labour, I had to like, from my personal experience, my mom would have told me about being pregnant with me and how she gave birth to me. She told me she had to go to 2 different hospitals. No one would listen to her. She thought she was going to die, then she had to rush for cease. All these things, and we hear this as first generation people living here in Ireland, and our views of birth hasn't changed because we don't know what the system is like here. So going into that, I feel like the way African women, Nigerian women birth is very different, because there's still that fear that I might die from childbirth, you know, whereas like white women might come in and know that, look, I can get my epidural. There's still that like but it's not in the back of their head that they might die. So very different ways of birthing. And then Eastern European women, I think they also have a different way of birthing. They're very stoic when they birth. They're like not getting an epidural. They're just they're very...
They take it on the chin, like.
Yeah, they really do take it on the chin. So I've noticed that different women have different ways of birthing, but especially for Black women, I feel like there's definitely an increased sense of fear when it comes to childbirth. Yeah. Especially because we're so superstitious and we're like, you know, please God, let this baby come safely. Yeah. You know, so, and I think a lot of that is that people just kind of, there's definitely, a lot of the times I think we stick our heads in the sand when it comes to pregnancy and like just hope for the best. People like hide their pregnancies, don't want to tell anyone, just like it's fine, let's just hope for the best, and don't really want to.
And they probably spend the whole 9 months waiting to be pregnant, as opposed to having it as an experience. Like I've seen, from what I know of like from European American white culture, like being pregnant is more of an experience, right? It's like there's certain things that you do around it. There's more joy around it. There's like, do you know what I mean? And like it is joyful in like a African, Nigerian, Black community, but it's almost seen as dutiful. Like especially if you're in marriage, it's like the joy comes out of the fact that you should be married, you should be pregnant. Do you know what I mean? Or if you're young, it's not really joy. It's kind of like, oh my God, I'm pregnant, I can't go outside, nobody can see me in my community because I'm bringing shame upon my family. So once you have all of these mindset, it has been a stressful experience for 9 months, and now you're coming to this, like it's almost like, get this baby out of me right now, or the pain I've been feeling for 9 months is just going to continue for however many hours that I'm in there. Like, so I remember even you mentioned like generational trauma, like I'm guessing that's what you're on about. Like.
Yeah. It's actually funny because like there's been studies and research has shown that women who experience birthing trauma, their offspring are actually more likely to experience like that can pass on. It's a genetic thing, which is really weird. I never knew that, but it's something I thought it was interesting to find out. Now the research is limited, but there has been studies to show that passes on. And
more likely to pass that on, like
yeah, exactly.
And what do you mean by trauma? Is it like, because a lot of mental health things are always defined as actual or imagined. So is it actual trauma that's physically happening, or is it the belief that trauma will happen? Do you get me?
I think it's a bit of both. But like you're more likely to suffer from birth trauma when you're not adequately prepared. Yeah. And like the birthing system in Nigeria isn't equipped, you know, to be women-centered and like holistic and women-focused. From what I know anyways, I'm sure there are centers like that, but from what I've been told by my parents and my mom is that like people are getting slapped for screaming in labor, like, come on, be quiet. Yeah. You know, that's traumatic.
Like, this is your job, like, you're gonna do, like do it quietly. Yeah.
It's almost like expected, like, you just shut up and give birth. You know?
Push this baby out of you!
That's traumatic, you know, and I don't think it's something that the women are perceiving. That is definitely traumatic. And like, how many women are going to be offered an epidural? How many women are offered other methods of pain relief, you know? Yeah. So...
And how, like, so you said, like, if you're not adequately prepared, how can you be adequately prepared for pregnancy?
By educating yourself.
In what? Like how, like, for example, I'm going to have a child, like, what should I kind of be prepared for on the day of or hours of birth?
I think it's more so like preparing your mindset for birth and then preparing like for the physical aspects of birth. So like what hypnobirthing really is, and not even just hypnobirthing, even going to antenatal classes, things like going to antenatal classes.
I've never heard, first of all, I don't know that many Black people who are pregnant in the first place, but I don't hear that as much in
Black community.
Yeah, like it, like I don't see us like actively. I don't think I didn't even like. I've seen it in movies when people, but like I've never heard of your auntie's going to here or whatever.
My mom never went either.
Yeah, That's extremely sad.
With my brothers, don't think she ever went. And I've asked her, I think it's something that we just believe that we're women, we're meant to be able to birth. But there's so much in it that you need to know about before you actually go and do it. And knowledge is power. Like, we encourage our kids to go and be doctors and lawyers and to be well read and smart, but we don't go in and like do the work when it comes to knowing about childbirth. Yes, it's a gift from God and stuff, and I think that because of our religious background, a lot of us would be, you know, very Christian or spiritual, and we just think, you know, God is going to do it for you. But there's faith and then there's action, and your action should also lead you to do that work, like inform yourself about the birthing process, like what pain relief options are available to you, what positions can you get into to make sure that, you know, you're going to be able to birth baby in the best way. How can you get your baby into the optimal birthing position? Things like, you know, how does labor start? What are the first signs of labor? How can your birth partner help you? You know, what can they actually do?
I'm gonna stop you right there, not because I want to be rude, but birth partner, like, I don't. And this is, as you're speaking, right, this is, like I said, this is not a topic that I've ever thought about, because for me, and the angle that I see pregnancy is something that I shouldn't be pregnant. Like, I shouldn't be pregnant, I shouldn't be thinking about it. But in our society, unfortunately, from what we've seen in generations before, the role of the birth partner is non-existent.
Well, it's very, very existent, I think.
From important, yes, but like, is it happening in the black community? Like, how? That's what I mean, non-existent. I don't see enough. Like, obviously our age group is different, but prior to this, I don't see enough men being as active in their wife's pregnancies. Do you know what I mean? Or I haven't heard of like men being like. To me, pregnancy in my head is the woman. I don't picture a man there at all. Maybe on the day carrying bags. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, and that's
important too, I think. But like,
for them not to be there, or for them to be there.
To be there,
yeah, 100%.
And carrying the bags, and like driving you there, and like. But I think it's like, there's so much that a birth partner can do, not just like in labor, but leading up to the process, like taking those birthing classes with their partner, you know, understanding, like, birth partners need to also understand that birthing process because it increases their confidence when it comes to the actual day. Like, you don't want to be turning pale and fainting because you don't know anything about childbirth, you know, increasing your confidence. Even just like, studies have shown that women who have a birthing companion in labor have higher experiences of more positive births.
I can imagine.
They're more likely to report having a pleasant birthing experience than women who don't.
On your own. Like, I can definitely imagine and see how that is, like, psychologically, and I feel like even after the process, I feel like just having the birth, there's just this thing in like African culture, like
that the man isn't meant to be.
Do you know what I mean?
And my friends say that, my male friends say that to me all the time. Like, I'm like, oh, how would you know, if I ever talk about, you know, your wife in labor, and they're like, oh, I'll just be waiting outside in the room. Like, are you serious? Yeah, and it's like, it's almost like, okay, you have this, and then when the child comes out, now it's time for me to pick up my boots, like, and start helping. But the help is mainly indirect and financial. Yeah. Like, that's the help that they see. But I'm sure, like, that also plays a part. Like, do you know much about, like, postnatal or postpartum depression? Like, is there do you deal much in that, like, after the birth experience? I suppose I wouldn't be the ones, like, by the time postnatal depression sets in, a lot of the times the women are gone home, and that's where the birth companion and their partners comes in really, it's really handy for them to notice the signs and symptoms. Like, if I'm giving out information leaflets on postnatal depression, I always say, get your partner to read this, or if they're present in the room, I'll talk to them about it, give them the leaflet and ask them to read it in their own time, because they're the ones who are going to notice it if anything goes wrong. So it's more than just like making a dinner or going to work and being the breadwinner. It's a lot. You have to be a lot more involved, and noticing those signs and symptoms can go a long way in improving like the outcomes for your baby and for your for the woman. I really hope like our generation does better and differently, because I think we are doing better. You know, I think we really are doing better. Like the difference between the couples I see who are like, you know, maybe my age, a little bit younger, and then like immigrants who have come straight from Nigeria, there is definitely a difference, but the partners are definitely really trying their best. And I think they could try even harder because there's so much more that's involved in supporting a woman during labour. Just this whole petting thing is so cute. Like you can do a lot
now, breathe now.
Yeah, or sometimes you hear them going, "Oh, would you just relax?"
Yeah, they're embarrassed, and I think even just forget about race, for example. For now, I think in Ireland, Ireland does a terrible job of promoting women's health. In general, I think on a general scale, Ireland does great for women's health. Like death rates are definitely not as high as other countries, but I think just from the get go of just secondary school, from sexual health leading into our thought process when it comes to pregnancy, I don't feel like we live in a society that promotes it enough for us to even
it's definitely
know
still
that
a
we have
taboo
rights.
subject.
100%.
Like you can't really talk about pregnancy and childbirth and even talk about your reproductive system and your reproductive parts without people being like, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? Like this whole thing of period poverty, the fact that we're only now starting a drive to to donate, reproductive and menstrual products to people who can't afford it. Yeah. Why is that happening now?
Yeah.
I've only heard of that happening now, and it's 2022.
People have been homeless for a while.
Do you know what I mean? The fact that it's so expensive and you can't really talk about it. If you go into Tesco and want to buy menstrual products, how many times have you hit it or put it at the bottom?
No, literally, I proper make a thing just to hold it in my hand.
Yeah, I'm the same as well.
I'm just I'm bleeding, now what? Do you know what I mean? What's actually anybody in here gonna do? You know that I'm a woman, you know that I'm gonna bleed at some stage, so are you mad? Do you know what I mean?
There's such a stigma around it. Even things like the contraceptive pill or even contraceptives in general. Yeah. How often do you hear people openly talking about it?
Never.
Or if you have to go to the pharmacy, it's
yeah, literally.
You'd be mortified to say.
And you have to just walk up to everyone. Can I get the morning after pill? Can you get the what? Can I get the morning after pill? Yeah. Is the pharmacy stern? What do you need? Just the morning after pill. Oh yeah, she'll be with you in a second. And you're sitting there for ages, mortified, thinking that everybody's staring at you. Do you know what I mean? But it's
why is that preventing pregnancy?
Because it has a thing to do with was it purification, gospel type thing, and we say a lot about Africa and black people or whatever, but Ireland is also a very conservative society. We are very similar to African cultures, especially because the way the church was the head of the state and things like that. Ireland is more like a lot of African countries that they even know these men were colonized as well. Do you know what I mean? So it's it's not that different when we're here. You think it's a white country, it's European, whatever, but it's only now that people in this country are getting comfortable talking about these things as well. I feel there's a lot of my white friends that can also attest to the things that we're saying, and I think our society is definitely getting better at talking about it, but it's just terrible that so many people go through these things feeling they have no option, feeling the fact that I genuinely feel my life would be over if I joke about it, but that's genuinely how I feel. If I got pregnant in the morning, I wouldn't feel first of all, I'm not and I'm married or whatever, but I just wouldn't feel this is a good thing. Do you know what I mean? I'd be get this thing out of me right now. Do you know what I mean? That's genuinely my thought process about it, and I joke about it, but it really shouldn't be that because it's a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing, but I think that it comes down to how we're conditioned to view pregnancy and childbirth. Even people that are looking to have a baby and are planning a pregnancy, their thought process about it is they're conditioned to think that it's a negative thing. I delivered a lady the last day, was it yesterday at work? Yeah, it is yesterday. Anyways, she was she had her baby and first thing she said to me is, I'm traumatized. That's a big word to use. Trauma, you're gonna look back at that and be that's trauma. That was traumatizing. Birth, if anything, should make you feel empowered, and you should feel confident, and you should feel heard, that you were able to make decisions, and it's something that you should be educated and informed about. And I think that's where the work comes in, retraining your mind, retraining your subconscious to be reconditioned into thinking that birth is positive. Birth can be something that I can feel confident and empowered to do, no matter what mode of birth you have, whether it's you know, a C-section, if you have an instrumental delivery, if you have just a normal vaginal delivery, feeling that you have options, you know what you want, you can be able to make like educated, informed decisions. Going in with that confidence completely changes your birthing experience. It doesn't have to be something you go into and you're like, oh my god, like, get me an epidural.
Give me drugs.
Give me drugs.
That's literally, I can see myself screaming that like.
That's what we're conditioned to believe.
Yeah.
But imagine you retrain your mind to only see positive birthing images, only watch positive birthing stories, only listen to positive birthing stories, shut out all the negative stuff. People always want to tell you negative birthing stories when you're pregnant, like, well, you won't believe how many stitches I got.
Oh god.
When you're pregnant, you need to be able to say, look, can you please tell me this maybe after I have my baby? I'd love to hear about it, but let's wait. You have to be able to do the work to retrain your subconscious, because our subconscious doesn't differentiate real from not real. All it wants to do is keep you safe. And if you believe that birth isn't safe, then that's how you're going to experience birth. Yeah. When you actually go into labour, your body, your subconscious is going to manifest into your actions by tensing up your body and making you want to get out of there. All you feel is fear. Yeah. So when you retrain your mind to believe that birth is safe, it can be positive. I can feel confident, empowered by doing things like, you know, positive affirmations and shutting out negative birth stories, educating yourself about the actual process of birth, how it begins, what it may feel like, your pain relief options, things like that will make you feel empowered because you know what is happening to your body, you know how it all works. Yeah. And you're more relaxed. You don't have that. I'm even relaxed now. I'm ready to let's go.
That's unreal. But yeah, talk to me about hypnobirthing. What exactly is hypnobirthing?
That basically is it. Like retraining your subconscious, you know, to believe that birth is positive, and it's just a load of like tips and tricks, tools and techniques in order to achieve a positive birthing experience. So like that, I'll teach women how to, you know, achieve deep relaxation. And in that deep relaxation, your mind is more open to, you're more focused, you're more concentrated, you're more open to suggestion. And at that stage, that's when you start filling your mind with like positive birth images, positive birthing stories, feelings of excitement. You know when you're going on a holiday or something and you're looking at pictures of the place on Google Images and it's so bright.
You're visualizing yourself having a good time.
Exactly, and you're just thinking, oh, I can't wait to swim in that blue sea, and those feelings of excitement.
By the way, it's currently raining outside, so we need this.
No, definitely. I'm planning my own holiday as well, and that's how I feel when I'm looking at them. I'm like, oh my god, this is so exciting, I can't wait to get in a bikini. That's how you should be thinking about your birth. When you're in that deep relaxed stage, you're looking at women giving birth in such an empowered, positive way, looking at like their birth environment. You're also doing that, and in that state of mind, you're getting this feeling of like excitement and like happiness, and the more and more you build on that, the less fear you feel when your actual birthday comes. And I've seen women using the hypnobirthing technique in work and achieving such amazing birth.
I was going to say, because your mind like always pulls on what's most accessible, right? So if all you have about this experience is a terrible thing, it's like, when I go there, my mind is going to remember what other people went through in this thing. But
exactly.
If I filled it with, like you said, like, I have techniques that are positive. My brain has positive things. It's like, now it's like muscle memory, right? Exactly. So while I'm going through it, I remember what I learned with Jubi at the Calm Woman. So you're remembering all of these like breathing techniques, all these mindfulness techniques, and you're seeing yourself do the positive things that you...
I always ask my clients, the first thing I want them to tell me at the end of our first session is, now tell me how you would envision your birth. What do you want your ideal birth to be like? And a lot of people will kind of, you know, tell me a few things like, I want, you know, to breathe through the contractions, but they never talk about the actual
like
birthing.
The pushing,
They never is glossing over that, and it's like, and then I get to hold my baby. And it's like, babes, it doesn't, you know, you have to push your baby out as well. And
couple deep breaths in the sky.
And I think at that stage, that's when you need to kind of remember that is also normal, you know, and visualizing that and visualizing your parent, like, things happening as they should and smoothly down there. And if you need any intervention, knowing why you might need that and what the risks and benefits are, exploring all those things can really help you to stay calm in a situation where previously you mightn't have.
Yeah.
So if anything had to happen, say for example you had to be taken for a C-section, knowing that, okay, the reason why I'm going for a C-section is because in the moment when things are happening, you mightn't feel calm. It could all happen in a blur.
Yeah.
But during the prior preparation, using your hypnobirthing techniques, it's not just breathing. It's information about why certain things might happen, what modes of delivery there is, and why you might have to have a different mode of delivery than just vaginal birth.
Because I think, like you said, knowledge is power, and it's like, for example, in a vulnerable situation, you might just agree to what someone is telling you.
Exactly.
And unfortunately, I'm not saying that midwives, whatever, they might not know your situation, and if you don't know your situation, they're obviously going to prescribe what they think is best, and that might not be what you feel is what you need at that time, but they're doing what they...
It gives you that confidence to say, look, I'm not really interested in doing this right now. If my baby's okay, can we just wait 15 minutes, give me some time to try this technique, or give me some time to try this position to see if my baby will,
I love that level of empowerment. Like, I don't think I've ever seen pregnancy as an empowering thing. Like, obviously the whole I push the baby out of me, like I'm cool, I'm a woman, like obviously being a woman is great, but I've never seen that process as empowering. It's always been a traumatic experience. It might like pain, bro, like, do you know what I mean? So I think I don't think about it much, but like that's probably the first things that come to my mind, being honest. But I think the way you've explained it is really amazing. Like, that's like I said, you already give me chill vibes. I'm even chiller. So it's really cool. It's really nice to see that as a thought process, because my thing in life, regardless of whatever race you are, but especially for Black people as a Black woman, is empowerment. Like, I feel like there's a lot of things that happen, but there's so much difference we can make if we know our rights, we know where we stand on a lot of things. Like, a lot of things, of course, we would like people to respond to us better, but if we know how to navigate certain situations, there's some things that we may be able to avoid.
Yeah. You know? And I think because of the lack of control sometimes that's involved with labour and childbirth, but then added on top of that, you're a Black woman who, you go through life sometimes with people having that racial bias about you and already putting stereotypes on you. The last thing you want to happen in childbirth is your midwife is stereotyping you as someone who's got a really high pain threshold. And the way a lot of us will respond in labour is we scream. Yeah. You might think that we scream. Most of the Black women I see, we scream. Yeah. And that's the thing that we do, because like I said, there's that lack of preparation, and a lot of the times we will see childbirth as traumatic. And there was one time I had a woman who delivered with me, and she was hypnobirthing. She was a Black lady from Congo, but had been raised in Paris and now living in Ireland. But anyways, this birth will always stick with me, because it was the first time that I saw that I could also achieve this type of birthing experience. It was amazing. Like, she came in and was using her hypnobirthing techniques. She had the confidence to say to me, you know what, can I move on this position? I'd like to try this position. And we just built this trust between each other, and we had this deeper connection that, like, I mightn't have with another white woman in labour. Like, when she would get a contraction, or what I like to call them surges, like, we would make eye contact, and she would just like look straight into my eyes and like look to me for guidance. Yeah. And you could tell she just had this deep trust in me, and it just made me want to really look after her. Yeah. So like, we went to the shower, and the shower is really good for reducing the sensation and intensity of your contractions, and used the shower and came back, and like, we talked, and they told me what they were going to name their baby. And during the she had a very quick labour. It was amazing. She did so well, and during the last stage of labour, she was pushing, and I didn't have to say a single thing. Every time she would push, and I'd listen to her baby, and she'd look into my eyes, and I'd tell her everything is okay, you're safe, you're fine, and she would just like, you could see that she just trusted me. And then during the pushing phase, she was just like in her zone, and every time she got another surge, she would just say, I love you baby, I love you baby, I can do this. And I want to cry. No, stop it. It was like, that's so cute. When her baby was born, I swear my eyes are like watering. Yeah, my eyes are genuinely watering right now. Oh my goodness. Such an amazing experience, and that's one I'm going to remember forever, because it showed me that, like, black women can have
we can
this.
be soft, like, do you know what I mean?
You can
and
be
we have
soft and have
exactly.
You can have all this. It doesn't always have to be pain. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be trauma. It can be nice.
Yeah.
And I think because we were both black, and now this mightn't always be the way, but I really do think that she wouldn't have had the same connection if she had someone else. We just connected.
And the same thing, like,
trust.
she did her research, she did her job.
Yeah,
like, she came in prepared, and it was something that you could take on from there. It wasn't like, I'm teaching you what to do during this thing. And
no.
I think that in itself is just, oh my god, I'm crying. That's so cute. Like, oh, that's so nice.
No, ever since I saw that, and I was like, I want more black women to experience this. I want more black women to experience this. But it's hard because we're so set in our ways, you know? Like, when you hear hypnobirthing, like...
I just thought you were hypnotizing people.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. I was like, there's some level of magic involved.
No.
But, yeah, like...
There isn't.
But I think what you're doing is amazing because, realistically, one thing, like, it's very hard for me. And, like, I have, like, a lot of white friends and white people that listen to this. And I'll never say this from a place of, like, segregation or whatever, but... it is very hard to feel like a white person understands you because a lot of white and European culture is not like our culture. So for me to see a black person talking about it from my background that understands me, I understand that you've done your research and you know that this may not be against my culture.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So it's not just it's something that is relevant to me now just because you were you. It doesn't mean that a white woman cannot achieve this, but once again, there has to be a level of cultural competency for you to understand my culture and let me know that this is part of my culture. But if you don't understand my culture, you're essentially imposing your ways on me, and we haven't struck that connection for you to understand why I might be hesitant to this. You'll see my hesitancy as like just resistance, and it's not. It's like you said, a lot of the time it's fear, it's misunderstanding. Unfortunately, it does take the skin color to break that, unless the person is well read in my culture. Do you know what I mean? So I definitely think that's like an amazing thing, and you should like be so proud of yourself and everything that you're doing. And I really hope that you are able to get more of these experiences and you're able to help the people that you've started to help. Because it's one thing to start something, it's another thing for people to buy into it. And I know that can be very hard with our people because, like you said, we are stuck in our ways. So I wish you the best of luck in doing that. I'm definitely going to wrap it up because I'm not crying on camera, okay? Nobody, I'm a bad beat even though I've cried like a million times, but whatever. But yeah, is there anything else you want to plug? Anything you want to say or do?
I suppose I would really like more people to look into hypnobirthing, like whether you do it with me or not, but like more black women, please take charge of your own pregnancy, your own birthing experience. Do your research because sis, like nobody's going to look out for you the way you do, so please do your research. And if you are interested, you can have a look on my website, thecalmwoman.com. Woman spelled WOMXN. thecalmwoman.com, or follow me on Instagram, thecalmwoman. And that's all I have to say. I share stuff weekly, lots of advice and stirs like that. So yeah.
Stirs. Okay, I'm gonna put all your details in the description as well. So thanks so much for coming. That was it, guys. So as usual, like, share, subscribe, follow Jubi and the Calm Woman. And happy birthday.